quadratics from factored form. Today we're going to be looking at factored form, and we're going to be looking for the x and y intercepts and how you can find them from some of the equations, and how you can determine from the standard form if the equation opens up or down. And so your a term, which if you'll remember is a number that is being multiplied times your x squared. So in this case that a term is a -3. If it's negative, that means it's going to open down. And just like in our problems where we were dropping the ball off the building and that last number was plus 125, and that last number is what told us our y-intercept, same thing's going to happen here, but the last number has to have no variable. It has to be just a constant. So our y-intercept is going to come from that. So you're going to have the x on a y-intercept is always 0. The y is going to be that last, your c term, -13. I want you to pause and I want you to think about this and do it yourself first, and then unpause it and see if you're correct. Okay, the a term is 1. That's positive, so it's going to open upward or up. And there is no c term, so that means there's a plus 0 here. So that means our y-intercept is 0, 0. Now let's get to what I had said that we were going to be doing today. We're going to be using factored form. So we have to factor this trinomial. That's the reason we've been worked so much at the end of the last semester on factoring, and we're going to continue that. This is where we use that box to help us. And the x squared goes here. The -32 goes here, and we're looking for the factors that will give us a -32 x squared. And gives a product of that, but yet a difference of -4. And so this would be -8x and 4x. And so when I factor that, out of these two terms I can factor out an x. Out of these two terms I can factor out a -8. Going left I can factor out an x. Going right, I can factor out a 4. And so my factors are x minus 8 and x plus 4 is equal to that f of x. This is factored form. This form will help you find your x-intercepts quickly. And so let's go ahead and start. We're going to do the first thing we're going to look at is going to be our x-intercepts. And so our x-intercepts. To find those, you'll set each of those parentheses equal to 0. So x minus 8 equals 0. And find out when that is. So you add 8 to both sides. And x is going to be 0 when that's going to be 0 when x is 8. Or the other one is x plus 4 equals 0. And so when x is equal to a -4. So remembering that when we have those parabolas, and if it crosses the x-axis, there's usually two places. This is one of those scenarios where there's two places when it crosses the x-axis. So my x-intercepts are, my x is 0, my x is 8, my y is 0. On the next one, my x is -4, my y is 0. X-intercepts will always have a y equal to 0. Now I can use this information and find my vertex, and so I don't have to use the way that we did yesterday. We can actually learn there's a different way we can get about getting to that vertex. So using your intercepts to find your vertex, you're going to take the 8 and you're going to add to it your -4. So your two intercepts, and you're going to divide by 2. So basically we're averaging it. 8 plus a negative 4 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And we're going to plug that into our equation. We're going to use the same way we found the y yesterday. We're going to have to plug it in to find the y. And so to find our y, we're going to input that into the rule and see what our outcome is. So we're going to input that 2 into our rule, x squared minus 4x minus 32. So we're plugging that 2 in. So 2 squared is 4, minus 4 times 2, which is 8. So 4 minus 8 is negative 4, minus 32 is a negative 36. And so my vertex is at 2, negative 36. Let's do it one more time using a different set. And so again, we're going to have to factor this using that box. X squared is going to go here, 4 is here. So 4x squared, and this time we're looking for a sum because they're going to be the same of 5x. So that's going to be x and 4x. That's going to create that. And so looking to the right and left, we have an x that's going to come out of there, a 4, up and down, a 1, and a x. And so I went ahead and factored that. Then I'm just going to write down my factors. X plus 1, x plus 4. Pause it and see if you can get your x-intercepts. The x-intercepts are when we're going to take each of these factors and set them equal to 0. So x plus 1 equals 0. And solve. And that gives us 1 is going to be whenever x is at negative 1. The other one is going to be when x is at, we're going to set the x plus 4 equal to 0. Subtract 4 because we have to move it to the other side. And x is equal to negative 4. So my two x-intercepts are at negative 1, comma 0 and negative 4, comma 0. Now we're going to use this information and go in to find our vertex. So to find our x value of our vertex, we are going to add our x-intercepts together. So negative 1 plus a negative 4 divided by 2. This time we ended up with a negative 5 divided by 2, which is negative 2.5. And go ahead and change it to decimal or leave it as a fraction, it's up to you. And you may have to use a calculator to help you with this next part. We're going to plug that into our equation, and it's going to give us a decimal in this case. That is okay. I know you're going to be using calculators, and so I did not worry about giving you nice perfect vertices on these as much as I did last time. And so we're going to plug this in, and our rule says we are going to square our input plus 5 times our input plus 4. So we're going to plug in that negative 2.5 and square it. and that's going to give us 6.25 plus 5 times our negative 2.5 is going to give us, this is going to be 12.5. So we're going to end up subtracting that because it's a negative 12.5. So 6.25 minus 12.5 gives us 6.25. And then we are a negative 6.25. And then we're going to add 4 to that. And that's going to give us a negative 2 and 25/100ths. And so our vertex is at negative 2.5 and negative 2 and 25/100ths.